Welcome everyone to our LinkedIn Live. And our focus today is amplifying nonprofit impact and really unleashing Salesforce skills for social change. I've been a long believer that Salesforce skills are like a superpower. And I know for many of us, it's hard to figure out what we can really do to give back. And I am so excited about our guest today. Sarah and Shawnee from Thanawalla Digital have such an incredible story to share, and I hope that it will, one, inspire you to get involved, and secondly, just bring up some creative ideas about how collectively we could really do some great work in the world. So, welcome to you both. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, it's such a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, Sarah, why don't you kick this off and just share a little bit about Thanawalla Digital, your role, and then kick it over to Shawnee so that we can just have a good background of what you do professionally and the organization before we get started to talk about this Stand-Up Weekend.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Thanawalla. I am Head of Business Development and Client Relations at Thanawalla Digital. Thanawalla Digital was actually started in 2015 by my dad, Moyes Thanawalla. Hi, Dad. I know he's listening right now. And we do Salesforce implementation at the enterprise level, and we focus on big data management. But a big part of our company is actually participating in Pledge 1%, which is something that Salesforce does, and we donate 1% of our time, product, and profit to our local community. And one of the ways in which we do that is through our yearly stand-ups. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the stand-ups, but I want to let Shawnee introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Shawnee Scesney. I'm a solution architect at Thanawalla Digital, and I serve as a project lead, typically for our enterprise clients. And I'm really thrilled. This was my first year being involved in the stand-up, and it was just such a blessing for all involved. And so I'm excited to bring this presentation to you at Midwest Dreaming. And so we're going to have quite a few teasers today. And thank you so much again for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. And that was really where I got a glimpse into what they had going on for this year, which we'll talk about, was part of the Midwest Streaming and doing some work with speaker preparation and just reading about their session, and then had a chance to interview them and to hear what incredible work was done last year. And I was just astounded. And I think that 1%, it sounds great, right? That idea that Salesforce does this in the world and really encourages all of the partners and the whole ecosystem. And 1% doesn't sound like a ton until you start seeing the incremental value. And I know that you've kind of done the math at your organization. Do you have kind of I'm catching you off guard a little bit, but just kind of a ballpark of what that means in a year from just your organization?
So this is not the answer that you're looking for, but in everything that we do, Dad has instilled core values in our company of the idea of giving a huck with an H. And that is the idea that you give back in any capacity that you can without any expectation of things coming back to you. You do it out of the goodness of your heart. He actually has an excellent story on that and how it translates from his core family values. So at Thanawalla Digital, we truly try and give back in, a one-to-one relationship. So anything that we do at the enterprise level, we try and match it with just something that we want to do as a passion project to give back to the community. Dad has always been involved in the community. I mean, you can catch him just at the end of Salesforce user group meetings, just sitting in the back explaining something to somebody that, is either studying for an exam or they're just stuck on a project at work. And so the numbers aren't quite there because it's hard to capture the amount of good work that everyone in our company does. I mean, Akansh and Alama, shout out to Akansh. He stayed up until 4 a.m. one day coding for the stand-up that we had. And so it's intuitive in everyone's nature at Thanawalla Digital. And I know that sounds super cheesy and like it's a line and marketing's fed it to me, but I promise you, for those of you that know my dad, you know that he carries this with him through everything that he does. So I don't think that answered your question, but
I love that. Absolutely. And I think and as you dive in and explain what this experience is like, I think it'll be very easy for people to understand and to just internalize that there's genuine motivation and that spread throughout your community to actually bring people together to do this. So what would you say would be like, maybe just take us back to last year and give us an idea of what the stand-up weekend looks like, of what you, maybe the organization, show the story, but just what sounds like, oh, something we do on a weekend, which in itself is so intense, is so much bigger than that. So just share as you wish about the weekend.
awesome. Shawnee, I'm going to let you kick this off, actually.
Sure. So to kind of piggyback on Sarah's thought about giving back, we truly do, on a day-to-day basis, give back. But our stand-up weekend is special because every year we choose a nonprofit. We have nonprofits apply from all over the Metroplex and even all over the nation. And we really kind of internally, we sit down and we go through these applications and we see what the core need is and best how we can give back. And this last year, we chose a wonderful organization. It's Going to Be Okay. And their primary focus is to combat human trafficking. And that, I really think, tugged at each one of our hearts. Individually, we all, on a day-to-day basis, we get the Amber Alerts and we get the news media about, human trafficking. But, we all feel very helpless. At least I do. I mean, I'm not really in a position to go in and kick down a door and rescue, someone from human trafficking. So this was a fine opportunity for us to use our superpowers to help in a tangible, hands-on way and get involved and make a difference. So I think that's what's cool about our stand-up weekends is that we may not, if we work with a horse organization or something like that, we may not all be equestrians, but we can use, our gifts and our talents for the greater good.
Definitely. And piggybacking off of that, I like that word today, piggybacking. One of the things that is very near and dear to my heart is connecting resources. And I don't like to gatekeep. And one of the big things is at UTD, there is a huge, huge population of students that, one, they have two things working against them. One is that they haven't worked yet. They're fresh out of school, super, super green. And the second thing that they have working against them is that they need this one little thing of sponsorship. And, to us, it's not a big deal. But to them, getting sponsorship, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's this mountain of a challenge that's hard to overcome, especially when you are saturated in the IT industry with, there's just a ton of people that need sponsorships. And so what we did with the stand-ups is we connected students to give them real world experience without having to be hired. So that was something they could put on their LinkedIn and on their resume. And we gave them little LinkedIn badges as well, saying that they participated as a master builder in the stand-up weekend. But we also had opportunities for them to speak with, people that were potentially hiring. We had people from USAA, Goldman Sachs, AT&T, Slalom. I know I'm missing a ton, but there were just so many people there that were able to connect with each other. And I've heard a couple of people come back and they've already said, hey, through the stand-up, I was able to connect with so-and-so, and they've been able to help me find an internship, and I appreciate that. And so it's just those little connections that were the second part to the stand-up that weren't necessarily part of, the charity per se, but it was a very nice benefit of the stand-up, in my opinion. So that's kind of the second part that we do.
That's amazing. Now, when you so from the nonprofit, so let's kind of walk through this for with that it's okay, it's going to be okay. That's the right name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What stood out to you from their application, and then what's required for the organization to be able to, what are you looking for? And I'm asking this in terms of those who are watching and have organizations that you would love to bless with this opportunity, because the application process is open right now until it closes on July 1st. So help us with what you're looking for, and then what the nonprofit's experience is like.
Yeah, definitely. Shawnee, do you mind if I take this one?
Sure, absolutely. Please do.
Thank you. So, kind of, the thing that stood out to us about Tanya's charity. Tanya Stafford Manning is actually the woman who founded It's Going to Be Okay. She herself is a thriver, as she likes to call herself, of human trafficking. And one of the big things that we found is she is good at what she does. She is good at going in and being that, that support for these girls and boys. And she knows the ins and outs of the human trafficking arena and how to pull victims out. But what she didn't have was a business process. And, that's not something you can think about on a daily basis when you're worried about, hey, is this girl that I contacted last night, is she safe? Is she, what are our next steps? And so that's really where Salesforce came in, because she needed to automate. She was doing everything, I kid you not, with pen and paper. And when we originally stood up her organization in 2018, but we just didn't really have the whole streamlined process thought out. We needed to make it more robust. We needed a system that could not just track the donor process, which is what we initially did. We needed something that could help her track each of the girls and boys through the process of being rescued, then getting the therapy and the legal counsel that they needed, and then eventually placing them in a home of their own and making them a full-fledged human being in society again, to where they didn't feel like they were scared and things like that. So Salesforce was really that automation tool that they needed. So when we're looking at charities, we look for a need. We look for a Salesforce need. We can obviously implement Salesforce anywhere. We love Salesforce. It's an awesome product. And, a whole nother LinkedIn Live could be how awesome and amazing Salesforce is and why everybody needs it. Specifically, we're looking for a bottleneck situation where Salesforce really is that solution to help them reach that next level, and just to kind of go from here to reaching out further and further. We also look for an organization that is obviously 501c3 accredited. So that's a big thing. We have to be able to fact check that, just in order to get Salesforce licenses and whatnot. And then we also look for a charity that is, willing to work with Salesforce. We can implement Salesforce. We can train you on how to use it. But if it's not going to be something that you use and it doesn't work in your own system, in your own daily processes, there's no point in implementing it. And a lot of times, if the process is working well enough already, then why implement Salesforce? Especially because they're not, a lot of nonprofits are not at that technical level. They do what they do exceptionally well, but sometimes Salesforce isn't always the answer. So that's kind of what we look for. And I know that's a broad answer, but once we really deep dive into the charity, and I encourage all charities to apply, all of them, even if you aren't familiar with Salesforce, if you think that something in what I said has resonated with you, go ahead and apply, because I will reach out to you and our team will work with you to make sure it's a good fit. So that's kind of what we're looking for.
Perfect. Well, and I would say nominating organizations too. There's so many people in our community who are supportive of organizations. So nominate and share. And Shawnee, I'd love from your expertise, just the richness of like seasoned professionals. The impact on students is incredible. And I think that's so powerful. But bringing together a group of professionals who don't work together day in and day out to orchestrate this and really have a tremendous outcome in a short period of time. Talk to us about that. How do you even approach that process and getting people to work?
Surprisingly, and not surprisingly, we're all part of the Ohana, right? And we all have this desire to give back. And so that's the easy part, is finding people who are passionate about not only Salesforce, but also giving back. We're very involved in the local dev groups and the administrator groups and things like that. And honestly, we kind of cheat. We do have volunteers from year to year to year, and so we really give them a say. We get them invested in this particular project. We have a discovery. We have an internal meeting about where would you like to be a team lead. Sometimes people who lead all week long don't necessarily want to take that role, but they can be a support, an assistant team lead. And really or they can simply do, sometimes they want to work behind the scenes and do the architecture. So there really is a place for everyone. And from the newbie all the way to the very experienced, we've been blessed to have some actual Salesforce employees come and do our stand-up, as well as we've had clients who have now kind of joined the Ohana and want to also give back. And so it really is a weekend of passion and purpose and pursuit, just to all have the same common goal. And we're very blessed in that we don't have to go out and search very hard. Typically, we just put up the sign-up sheet and it kind of does its own.
Mm. So if somebody is inspired and wanted to get involved from a volunteer aspect, are you looking for more volunteers? What would that look like? How would they get involved?
Absolutely. So at t.digital/standup, all one word, you can nominate a charity. You can also sign up to volunteer. And even if as I said, we have a place for everyone. We will find a place for you. And I promise that it's not only going to be, the end of the weekend, everyone is just kind of sad that it's over. And so there's never, we work as a collaborative team. We always need more. How many, we had a plethora this year, and everyone, had a contribution and a great time. We had I'm sorry, I don't know the number off the top of my head. Sarah, do you remember?
Yeah, we had 300 sign up and we had 418 show up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I honestly, this is so fascinating to me. So it really is the weekend. So you have 400 people that are there. What is that like? Walk us through the experience of what actually is happening during that period of time.
So one thing is that it's 418 throughout the entire weekend. So it's a come and go as you please sort of thing. We have a lot of people that show up for, they say, hey, I can help out for 2 hours on Saturday. Is that okay? Yes, absolutely. We want to see you any way that you can help in any capacity that you can. Come on out. Friday night starts off with a big rah-rah celebration. We had Shawnee, I'm blanking on her name right now, the mayor of Richardson.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Janet DuPois. She came and she did a proclamation for the weekend, stating that the entire weekend of March 3rd, 4th, and 5th was the It's Going to Be Okay Salesforce Standup Weekend. So that was Friday night. We had Credit Union of Texas sponsored dinner. And then we had like a 30-minute presentation of like who It's Going to Be Okay is. And we just got right into it. We just did a deep dive. And I think people worked until about 10 p.m. that night. And then we showed up bright and early Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And of course, we provide food. T Digital will provide all food, all drinks, any snacks that you might need. We have an excellent caring committee hosted and kind of orchestrated by Pam Thanawalla, who's also my mom. Hi, Mom. And she takes care of all of that. And so we do that. We have T-shirts, we have goodie bags, but you code basically and you implement Salesforce all day long on Saturday. Saturday night at about 7:30 after dinner, we get together and we do a demo jam, and that's really fun. And then Sunday we kind of wrap up on Sunday. We do things, and then I'm sorry, Sunday. We wrap up on Sunday. We do last minute things, and then we have cake and celebration at the end of Sunday. And all throughout the weekend, there's also enrichment sessions going on. Shawnee and I hosted a panel on women in tech during the Standup Weekend. We had a process of getting into a internship panel sort of thing, which was done by Dad, actually. He did a great job with that, and Mark Evans. And then Tanya did an enrichment session, just kind of talking about ways that you can get involved in her organization. So we kind of have that going on, but it's definitely a come and go as you please sort of thing.
I love that. And you've learned a lot, obviously, doing this, so it's not your first time around. If someone isn't local to the area, but this is inspiring them to think about what they could do in their local community, what kind of advice would you have about lessons learned? Like going back, what might you have done differently, or things that were best practices or things to steer clear of?
So I actually, I'm going to be doing a ebook on the whole stand-up process. And so I'm hoping to come out with that pretty soon, but I'm not 100% sure on when. There's still a couple of things that I'm finalizing. But I highly encourage you all to follow T Digital on LinkedIn for when that comes out, and that will have literally everything that I've done wrong with the stand-ups. And things like it'll have a checklist and things like that, templates that you can use, those sorts of things. So from a best practices perspective, that's coming down the line. Shawnee, what do you have for everyone?
So more kind of like an e-kit. We're just in collaboration on that, and get involved in your local dev groups, your Salesforce Saturdays, and possibly, if you're not part of an organization who's ready to take this challenge on, maybe your Salesforce Saturday group could do that. It doesn't have to be to the scale of which we've done it, but we didn't start here either. So every little bit counts, and yeah, it's just an amazing opportunity for everyone involved.
And the two of you are going on the road to talk about it. So tell us about your Midwest Dreaming session. And, there's going to be almost 1,000 of us there. So I know many of us will have the opportunity to watch you live, but tell us about your session and what inspired you to get involved with Midwest Dreaming.
Shawnee, would you like to take this one?
So Sarah and I are something else. So we, just began talking, and we were so passionate about this particular, stand-up weekend, and we really kind of wanted to spread the idea and provide those who attend the session, and even those after, some tangible ways to take it back to their community. And so we're very excited about our presentation. It's still on the works. New things coming.
That's great. Well, and I think that's so much of it, right? As the community, that we do things, we share, we teach, we build these kits so that people don't have to recreate the wheel. They can just keep elevating the work that the community is doing collectively and having a big impact. So I have to ask the two of you while I have you here. So Salesforce AI Day was yesterday. I'm so curious to hear your thoughts and how it may relate to your organization and your plans. So what are your thoughts about Salesforce and AI GPT technology, and then perhaps how it may impact nonprofits?
Just wow. I mean, just incredible. Wow. Yes, I'm still processing. So, but I'm going to let Sarah take that one because she actually just did a presentation at Texas Dreaming on Salesforce AI. So there you go.
Thank you. Yeah. So I did a presentation on as the AI plot thickens, and I had a cute little story that was up. And, I'm a firm believer that AI is a tool. It's not anything. There's the whole thing about Skynet and AI is going to take over the world. There's so many people coming out saying that it's going to be the end of humanity. And I simply just don't think that's the case. We thought when computers came out that they were going to take over the world. And we really see that computers are a tool, and they're a tool to do what we do on a daily basis. And I really think AI is going to be the exact same way, especially with Salesforce AI. I think it's going to reinvent kind of our daily practices in, automation and things like that. But it's also going to create new jobs. What those new jobs are, I'm not 100% sure on. But, with any sort of innovation, you see a shift in paradigms and you see a new sector of growth. I mean, with the emerging computer industry, we had IT come out of it. And I'm sure people in, the Industrial Revolution never thought that IT was going to be a job that you actually do. So I think it'll shift things, and I think it's going to be good. It'll be good. Innovation is always a good thing.
It'll just fine tune and just perfect. It's kind of like that little piece of perfection.
Oh yeah.
Help us in the future.
I was fascinated with during the pandemic, and I was with Supermoms at the time, and so much connection into nonprofit and doing good in the world. But so many customers were forced to get creative and innovative because the way that they delivered their services that were desperately needed still had to be changed, and many moved towards technology. And I think there's so many exciting things that will happen as a result of what AI can take off of their plate in terms of, many of the manuals talking of those organizations that literally pen and paper move to Salesforce and then take advantage of some of the just incredible things coming. But
it's exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Well, before we wrap, I'm so grateful. I'm just so impressed with the work that you're doing, and it was so heartfelt when I talked to you, and I loved hearing the story. And I think when there's something that people can get inspired by what's something that I can do that can be in a moment of time where it's hard to balance. I want to do good. I don't know what to do. I can't, I just can't do 10 hours a week, but I can bring this amazing, batch of resources in. I thought that was incredible. So thank you for being here. And is there anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap up, other than we definitely want to encourage people, and I will include the links in the comments immediately after, where if you want to nominate an organization or if you want to apply yourself, please do. And then if you want to get involved or volunteer or just reach out and help spread the word, that would be incredible too. But any other last words here?
This is something that, it's been a passion project of Dad's. And I hope that, through this, we're able to inspire you guys to know that you can do something on your own. It doesn't have to be to the extent, like you said, it doesn't have to be to the extent that we're doing it. I'm just a theater kid. I love doing things big. But, even if you just go down to your local animal shelter, and if they're using Salesforce, say, hey, I can donate one Saturday. That's something. The important thing is that you got the tools. Salesforce is a superpower. And I am so proud to be part of an Ohana that truly deeply cares about others.
I'm excited to see where this goes. I
Me
would
too.
like to see stand-ups all over the nation and all over the world, for that matter,
Yeah.
and even just the smaller pieces of volunteering. There's
Oh,
sometimes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be able to see you in person in just a few weeks away in Minneapolis, Minnesota at Midwest Streaming. So if you haven't purchased your tickets yet and made your plans to join, please do. There are over 100 speakers and sessions, and there will be just under 1,000 of us there. So it should be a great time and really perfect timing with everything going on in the world to elevate your knowledge and network and really have a great time.
Thank you so much, Shellen.
Shellen.
You are welcome. All right. Good luck.